Let's do this thing. The Combat Sports Report has begun on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Roku Television. Shout out to all of our television affiliates, networks, platforms, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. We're going to break down UFC 23. We'll get some picks a little bit later on. Tom Zaffino's going to step up and in. We're going to touch all the bases. We're talking BKFC Hollywood. We got a great card coming up as the holiday season approaches. We'll get you caught up to date with the insanity of a potential Katie Taylor versus Ronda Rousey boxing match. You thought Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul was dumb? Like, this is next level insanity, and I don't even know, like, if they're going to be able to sanction that, man. But let's bring in a man that's, like, knows everything. He's been on all sides of the fight game and still is. BKFC's Chris Lytle steps up and in, a legend in the house once again. It's always a pleasure, my man. An early Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all that stuff. Thanks for joining us, brother. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Don't be bringing up Christmas. I mean, Thanksgiving just happened. I got a lot of stuff to do. I got stuff to buy, so give me some time. Jesus, just give me a heart attack.
Yeah, the tree's not up yet. Tree's not up yet in the Lytle household. Huh?
Let me show you. I can show you the tree. Boom, there it is.
Oh, you're ready to go. So you are. You're ready to go. So listen, 2025, I was thinking about this. It's kind of the year that BKFC sort of stepped up, isn't it? Like, there's still more growth to come, but you and I have talked about it. It sort of feels like the explosion of the early days of the UFC. But, 2025, and, you just look at the athletes that have joined the company, the caliber of fights, the attendance, the hits on social media. 2025 was BKFC's sort of coming out party, wasn't it, Chris?
I tend to think of 2026 is going to be a real coming out party. I mean, to me, that was great last year. This year's been phenomenal. We started off with a bang. We started off with about 18,000 people showing up at a fight in Philadelphia. Biggest crowd they've had for any kind of combat sports ever. I think ever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making it up. I like to exaggerate, but it's really good. Regardless, I think this year was phenomenal. Next year's going to be even better.
One thing I've noticed, though, and, we talk about it, social media lights up about it, the fight fans know about it. Mainstream media is sort of the last step, isn't it, right? Like maybe that ESPN won't be in bed with the UFC moving forward. Maybe ESPN starts to look at it. But have you noticed this, Chris, sort of the mainstream media outlets that took a while to embrace the UFC, but they eventually did, still haven't fully embraced this yet. I still think there's still a little stigma, Chris, that, they just hear bare knuckles and they just sort of think like it's a street fight, and they don't realize, like, this weekend, you got a freaking WBA boxing champion. Like, you got Austin Trout. Like, you got elite athletes in BKFC, and more elite athletes are coming now.
I mean, I understand it just because I was there when that was happening with the UFC. I remember the first time I ever saw on ESPN on the little ticker tape thing said something about a UFC fight. Did you see that? They just talked about a UFC fight. That wasn't that long. It was maybe like 2010. They never covered us, man. So I understand it's the new thing. It's looked at as barbaric. It's looked at as too much, but it's not like that with UFC anymore. It just takes them a little bit of time to understand. I mean, if you put the injury report next to a boxing match, next to a bare knuckle match, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this boxing is so much worse. It's so much more barbaric. It's so much more dangerous. Yeah, I know. They don't see it like that. There is going to be more blood, but I care more about brain damage and death and stuff like that. So they'll catch on eventually, but it'll take time.
Now, as far as, there's been some great fights this year. Which fights caught your eye as, like if you told someone, you haven't seen BKFC before, watch this guy fight, or watch this woman fight, watch this fight. What have been your favorite fights, and what fighters are you looking most forward to taking the next step? We had the Mohawk on a couple of weeks ago, and this kid's ready for, like, superstardom, isn't he?
I've known since the beginning, since we started working with that guy. I've loved his energy. I was a little not sure of his skill. I know he was great at, selling the fight. I know he's full of his confidence. I know he was energetic. But he just had to, the rest of them had to catch up, and it has. He's gotten very, very good, very talented. His last few fights have been so impressive. So I'm so happy he's back. I'm so happy he's dominating the way he is. You couldn't ask for a better person to be in there doing that. He's phenomenal. We got Perdomo getting ready to fight. That guy's never made it out of round number 1, knocking everybody out. Hard to deal with that guy. Christine Faria, talk about a big built-up fight. You know, she's fighting for the Queen of Violence title, comes out, goes up in weight class and gets a beautiful knockout. I mean, we've had nothing but these last 5 cards we've had have all been phenomenal. Usually I have a couple duds in here every now and again, but we haven't had any lately. I mean, like last fight, 9 fights, 8 knockouts. That's what's going on lately. Just phenomenal fights.
You know what I've noticed too? There's sort of just a lot of these fighters that hungry fighters, Chris, that are like 4-0, 5-1 and stuff like this, that in a couple of years are going to be on a collision course. Like there's a lot of dudes that aren't just here to try to make a buck or, you know, they're not killing time. There's a lot of kids that are hungry. They want to be champions. They want greatness. They want to make money. They want to make this their life.
I hate it because there's so many times they're hitting me up going, Chris, I want to fight again. I want to fight. I want this. I'm like, I'm trying. You know, like that's not really my job. So I'm trying to talk to our people who that is their job. Like, hey, this guy's hungry. He wants to go. They're like, hey, I know, but you got to step in line, man. Everybody wants this opportunity. Why, you know, they have to understand that this is, you know, you have to earn your way there. And I'm trying to explain this to guys and tell them, but I just see that they want the desire. And that's what I love about that sport. You can just tell the desire is there when they fight. When somebody gets knocked down, picks himself off the canvas and goes and wins. It happens all the time in this sport. And you don't see that a lot in other sports. So I absolutely love it.
You know, we've had the Wild Boy, Stuve, on. So a good example. Young kid, right? Young kid, almost doesn't know any better, doesn't fear anybody. And we had him on, and he said, listen, I don't want to be like just, you know, what I love about it, Chris, and you can tell when a guy isn't happy, he said, I just don't want to be the regional guy. When they come to Alberta and I'm the guy because I sell some tickets for them, I want to be known as good enough that I'm going to be on the real cards, that they're going to invite me. He fought in California for the first time, went to a hell of a fight, right? Went, you know, a hell of a fight. But, you know, that's what I'm talking about with these young kids. They want to test themselves, and they want more on their plate. I love to see it.
Who doesn't? That's what you expect from a fighter. A real fighter, in my opinion, to want to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. You know, you need a smart manager to not just let that happen. But a fighter, if you ask them, I want them taking everything.
So let's talk about the Hollywood card coming up here. BKFC 85, Hollywood, Palomino and Trout. I talked about Trout, and super cool. What do you think about Trout and his skill and what he brings to this sport, man? Because he's a dangerous fighter.
Well, I mean, he just took the best of his boxing and translated over, which is something most boxers haven't been able to do. They think this is boxing with no gloves, and it's not. It's its own sport. So
he's not afraid to grapple a little bit, Chris, I noticed, right? He'll get in there and mix it up a little bit, right?
That's what I mean. He went to a Muay Thai gym. He went to MMA place. He learned other skills. He humbled himself to go, I have to learn this new sport. He did, and that's why he's dominating, because he has that full arsenal of all those years of boxing that translated over, and his style's good. He's slick. He's hard to hit. He's hard to touch, but he does a great job, and he's translated all his knowledge and all his skills over the past, 20-something years of fighting, and he's making it his own sport, and he's going to be tough to beat for anybody. But if there's anybody who can beat him, Palomino, he's only lost one fight in his career, and it was to Trout, which is great.
There's going to be some fireworks, man. All right, more with Chris on the other side. We'll get his thoughts on the card. We're looking forward to this BKFC Hollywood Trout versus Palomino 2. CSR continues. Bring it.
They have a bigger talent pool potentially, and they're going to give them anything it takes to potentially get this team back to a national championship. And if you want to set a legacy, you could maybe have one good year at Ole Miss and maybe potentially, 5 or 6 9-3 campaigns, but you're not going to make the playoff each and every season, or at least that's the mindset. You have a better path at LSU or a bigger school.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, that's it. I don't want you to get a read. I think.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the Best Bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Florida was thought to get Lane Kiffin, but they go and turn to Tulane head coach John Summerall. This is a solid hire, coach.
He's a tough-minded coach. I thought he would be a perfect fit at Auburn, just knowing he's from Alabama. But I think Florida got an outstanding coach. He will be a tough nut that knows how to win football games.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
You're not going to find a show that touches all the bases as much as we do on a weekly basis, from BKFC, UFC picks, PFL, and, of course, Lights Out, Extreme Fighting, and our boy Sean Merriman. The success continues. And, listen, it's not easy to survive in this industry, and all you need to know, man, we're going into, Lights Out 29. We've got another card coming up this Saturday in Long Beach, California. Let's bring in a man that's going to be on this card. Corbin Allen steps up and in the house with us. Special. Let's do this thing. Special delivery style. Corbin, thanks for joining us, my man. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'm fantastic out here.
Hey, so listen, I know this ain't your first dance. You've been around the block in the fight game before, but we're a couple of days away from the fight right now. You look pretty good. You look like you're in a pretty good mood as well. So how are you feeling right now?
No, I feel great. I feel fantastic. Leading up to fights is just another day in the office for me. So, just get the weight down and, just lock in as even more than I'm already locked in.
Are you one of these dudes? So is it tough for you to make weight? I mean, some fighters are miserable to be around and all that. And I told a story last week. I was around a dude. I saw him eat 2 whole chickens after a weigh-in once. He was a heavyweight fighter, but he literally ordered 2 full birds and just crushed it after. Is it an extreme thing for you where right after the weigh-in, you hit the buffet or whatnot? Or is it, nice and chill for you making weight?
It's decently chill, I'll say. It's not the worst. I've seen guys get couldn't walk, get assistance from their girlfriend, coaches and stuff, and chills and all this sort of thing. But it doesn't bother me. I'm a wrestler by trade, so I'm pretty used to it. My body's kind of adjusted. Yeah. And I don't walk around too heavy either, so I try to stay ready year round, so I don't have to have a dramatic cut. But yeah, I'm pretty good. And I you just try to resist going crazy after the weigh-in, you just try, but it doesn't always work.
So talk to me about the role you've been on. You won 6 of your last 7 fights. Are you feeling like, is this starting to come together for you right now? Like, do you feel is this thing, obviously, your best is still yet to come, but, you've been on a little bit of a roll right now. What has it been? Has it been focus? Like, where are you at right now mentally? You have to feel pretty good about where you're at.
Yeah, no, I feel really good. I feel really good. I think, I said this in the beginning when I kind of came back into fighting again. Don't let me get comfortable. That's what I always used to say. And, the losses I kind of went through early on in the game was just me getting accustomed to it, still learning the sport, and even still like learning how to fight. Again, I come from.
And you were fighting Cage Warriors as well, right? So, like, a lot of guys are sort of getting their first stuff. You kind of got thrown into a fire early, man.
Yeah, no, they I for sure, they brought me in there to lose a little bit, but I think I spoiled the show. And I'm just getting better and better, getting more comfortable in the cage, throwing my hands, seeing offense coming at me, and training with high level guys as well. I'm just getting my bearings, and like you said, the best is yet to come.
So, speaking of lights out extreme fighting, I've been speaking with Sean. I've known Sean from his football days. We cover all sports. And I remember when he started this, and hell, it ain't easy to, survive for years, but he's done a great job marketing it. And one thing I've noticed, Corbin, is the quality of fighters are getting better and better, right? Like, his first couple of fights, he had, 2-1 guys and 0-0 guys. You know what I mean? He was going from gym to gym and finding guys that didn't like each other and feuds in LA and stuff like that. But I noticed the quality of the fights and the overall just sort of company really does grow. Talk to me as someone who's fought in a couple organizations about what it's like fighting in lights out and over at the Thunderdome in Long Beach.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I was there early on as well. Have fought for lights out a couple times, and like you said, you see the quality get better and better. A fighter, guys are getting more dangerous. Guys are getting smarter in there as well. And then now you see guys getting, transferring over to the UFC and, better things. So yeah, it's it looks, and they're on Fight Pass now, so that's another big thing. Before, when I was fighting, they weren't. So
yeah, how cool is that? Like, to know there's sort of a light at the end of the tunnel. That, you know what? If I keep on kicking ass and looking good, people are going to see it. It's on UFC Fight Pass, right? People are watching it. The hardcores and the powers that be in the industry are watching. It's tough if you're grinding every day and there's not a light at the end of the tunnel, right, Corbin? But there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. You're seeing guys get UFC fights from lights out.
No, seriously, yeah. It's it can feel far away sometimes, to see the big show, and even I've been to a couple UFCs now, and to see the octagon out there is like, dang, it's like it's
so close but far, right? Yeah.
Right. I'm within distance, but for sure, like, to be part of an organization where you're gonna have some eyes on you, especially this weekend. We have a couple lightweight fights, with Marab coming up, and then got the other flyweight championship matchup. So flyweight small guys are on display this weekend. So it feels good to kind of be on display, be the main event as well, and be able to show what I've been working on for these past months.
So as far as this fight is concerned, are you a big tape guy when it comes down to breaking down your opponents? And what do you know about Paulo and what he's going to bring to the table?
A little bit. I'm not too big on watching tape. I mean, he hasn't been super active in the past years. So I got to see his.
So you don't really worry about the past stuff, exactly, right? What he's going to do now?
Not too much. I'm big on what's his last fight look like, because that's the most present representation of them. And honestly, I'm pretty quick at reading people. It's not hard to watch a fight and be like, okay, he does this, he does that, he doesn't do this, he doesn't like that. And it's just about, where's my game at? Where am I at? What can I pick and choose? And, kind of sort through to figure out this, kind of have a game plan ready. But yeah, no, I just try to stay ready with my own preparation.
Corbin, we wish you the best of luck, man. We'll catch up with you down the road. The Combat Sports Report continues. Bring it.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Let's get to the quarterbacks for next year. Mac Jones will be an NFL starter to begin next season. He's looked great. Brock Purdy has not. Buy or sell?
You look through the NFL here. Miami, Jets, Cleveland, Raiders. I'm just going
Arizona,
by division.
Minnesota.
Arizona, definitely. Minnesota, definitely.
Raiders. You mentioned the Raiders.
I mentioned
Can
the Raiders.
you just say buy and move on, please, to the next question? Because you know it's a buy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a buy. It is a buy. He's right. He'll definitely be starting for somebody there, right? He has had a nice season. He'll start for somebody. Jets.
Buy. Gardner Minshew was a starter in the NFL year after year for the next guy in waiting. I mean, this keeps happening. You think that Mac Jones is not going to be a buy? All right. Daniel Jones will finish the season as a better fantasy quarterback than Justin Herbert of the Chargers. Both players, George, have slipped quite a bit in November here.
Broken fibula. No, he's not going to finish better than Justin Herbert. I don't know if he's going to finish the season. You got to think if they were playing better, maybe he'd be sitting out a week or two. But they've been struggling, trying to win that division. Big games now against Houston, that they're sort of pushing him in there. No. I know the offensive line for the Chargers is horrific. I get it. But no, I'll say Justin plays a little bit better.
I'm buying it. I don't like what I see with the Chargers at all. Can't run, can't throw, can't play defense. Feels like Harbaugh's getting a little
Broken
desperate.
fibula.
It's not a tibula. It's a fibula. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, fine.
I don't know that to be true. Okay. It just sounded good.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Combat Sports Report continues. We're kicking it with Lights Out Chris Lytle right now, talking some BKFC. So, talking about this Palomino and Trout fight. Trout's been super impressive, 4-0. BKFC, Palomino's only lost once, 10-1. Chris, this is going to be a badass fight. But what other fights? This heavyweight fight with Corey Willis and Perdomo. This is going to be anytime you get big dudes throwing like this. Willis is a badass as well. Speaking of guys 2-0, trying to prove himself, going against a 9-0 fighter. What do you think of the heavyweight tilt there, Chris?
I mean, everybody knows who watches BKFC. Palomino never made it out of the first round. He gets in, he does damage. However, if you look at what his opponent's been able to do, first of all, I love his nickname. What you talking about, Willis? So funny. What Willis has been able to do, get inside.
Especially for a big white guy too, Chris. That's what makes it even better.
What you talking about? He gets inside and he makes you fight his fight. And when he does so, he wears you down and tires you out. That's the one thing we haven't seen from Palomino. What can he do? Not Palomino, I'm sorry. Perdomo. What will he do if he gets worn down for a minute? He's always great in the first round. What if he goes past the round? Does he have cardio to go 2, 3, 4 rounds? Can he hit hard afterwards? We don't know. If there's anybody out there who can make him go a little bit longer, get him in, tie him up, it looks like Willis might be that guy. So we're really going to find out, is that style his kryptonite, or is it going to be that power that's going to knock Willis out?
And we talk about more and more fighters, joining the BKFC from different mediums of combat sport. And now Karina Dam is set to make her debut, Chris. So Karina Dam, of course, fought the Strike Force. Jessica I, Kat Zagano, it's sort of like it's always like a blast from the past often, Chris. I'm like, Karina Dam. I'm like, oh, damn. So what do you think about Karina Dam making the transition?
I love it because what you have here is a lot of people who've been doing the sport of MMA for 10, 15 years. And what that does is, man, it's a grind on your body, your back, your shoulders, your neck, all the wrestling, grappling, all that stuff. Now you don't have to worry about that. You just say, all I have to do is come to the gym and do some hands. I get done with practice, I feel like I only did a third of my work. My body's still good. So I think you see a lot of these older fighters who it's just easier on their body. It extends their career many, many years.
Before we get you out of here, do you sometimes wish, I know you still, like, you still have it in your blood. Like, you're sitting there, Kate, so you want to get in there and fight still all the time. But Do you wish that you could go back in time and cash in like so many mixed martial artists are by fighting a Jake Paul? What do you think of all these fights? So you got Jake Paul and Joshua. You almost got to give Paul credit this time for actually fighting Joshua. But Ronda Rousey and Katie Taylor, you know boxing, Chris. Katie Taylor's a killer, bro. She's one of the best female boxers in the history of the sport, and she ain't washed. She can still fight. You saw those fights against Serrano. Like, she can still fight this woman. What the hell is Ronda Rousey doing? But what do you think of all these sort of, cash money fights that are going on right now? And would you have done it in your day?
My day, I'll still do it right now. I don't care. I like to fight. Only thing I've been mad about for Dave Feldman, I yelled at him. I was like, why did you not get this sport legalized earlier? You're lazy. You didn't try hard enough. He was trying for many, many years. I'm just kidding with him, though. But that would have had a lot more bare knuckle fights. I promise you that. But, I understand it's hard when you're a fighter and it's done. You're like, if you still have it in you, you're going to have it in you forever. You want to keep competing. You just need to be smart about it. I mean, I don't think I give Jake Paul respect for trying to take this fight. But if it goes past 2 rounds, I'm thinking somebody's cheating somehow. They put something in, Anthony Joshua's water, or he's paid off, which I don't think you pay him off because he has no chance in that fight. But I respect the guy for trying. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't advise it. If there's anybody there, slap him and say, wake up, son. You got no chance. He's got that complex. He must believe he can win. I've seen that a lot. You get beat a couple guys and all of a sudden you have a false sense of reality. Maybe Ronda's got the same thing. If she thinks she's going to go out there and box like that, or maybe they just want to compete. I don't know. I mean, maybe win, lose, or draw, they're just happy going out. I'm not exactly sure, but these are dangerous fights. I don't like older fighters coming out and starting to do boxing with those big gloves on. I'm telling you what, that's how people are going to get hurt. That's going to be a big problem. Come on out and do bare knuckle if you want to do anything. You might get cut, but your brain's going to be fine.
It's funny you say that because people think, oh, bare knuckle, that's scary, that's dangerous and stuff. But like you said, those big-ass gloves, man, cause way more brain damage than some cosmetic damage at the time. Chris, you're the man. It's always a pleasure. BKFC this weekend, Hollywood, Florida. Thanks for the time as always, Chris.
Of course. It's going to be one of the best cards of the year. You got to watch it.
There's Chris Lytle with his Combat Sports Report continues. Bring it.
Just can't quit Josh Allen. He's at a 16% chance. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, don't count Lamar out. The Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. And then there's those Kansas City Chiefs. But I got to tell you, Joe, you see how we're going lower and lower on this list right here? I'm telling you, a nice little wild card down there. You plunk $100 back and get paid $1,429 back on Houston Texans.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You then had a sensational game with the Bears and the Eagles. Who knew how great the Bears were in terms of blowing out the Eagles and maybe having the NFC race go topsy-turvy. And then you also had the 2 NBA games. So it was a big win, I thought, for Amazon for their first ever really big Black Friday day. I think it's something we see them doing now forever on that Black Friday.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Combat Sports Report continues. I am Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. Let's do this thing. We've got UFC 323, and I'll tell you what, we better appreciate it while we have it. We talk often about, man, they have a lot of cards, and there's just basically a card on a weekly basis in the UFC. But, this is kind of the longest break that I can recall them taking, actually, in which we've got UFC 323 this Saturday. Next Saturday, UFC Fight Night. So that's December the 13th. And then we're off, actually, until January the 24th. January the 24th. Like, I get them, okay, we're taking Christmas off and whatnot. There used to be the 4th of July and the New Year's was like the big deal, the big cards and stuff. But they've given up on the New Year's Eve cards in Vegas for the most part. And now they're just giving up entirely. They're taking a break until January the 24th. And I'm telling you, with this big White House card around the corner, that they have to go big in. We're to the point where guys aren't really going to be able to fight twice, or women aren't going to be able to fight twice before that. So, right, they're starting to stretch things out a little bit. And, last week we spent a lot of time talking about Pimblett and how he was going to get fast-tracked. Well, he got fast-tracked into a title shot, right? So, but nevertheless, let's get to some picks this week. UFC 323, Tom Savino back in the house with us. What's going on, Tom? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, man, happy to be here as always. I got to say, I always look forward to the break because this sport is a grind. It's week after week. You're watching, I don't even know how many fights. I probably watch 2,000-3,000 fights a year breaking these cards down. So it is nice coming up on a break, but once we get to that mid-January point, I'm going to be missing it because, it's what I love. And it's nice to have the break, but,
5 weeks,
I guess
though.
a month is good. Yeah.
It goes from the 13th to the 24th of January. That's a long break. Like, to me, they should be coming back January 5th or 4th or whatever, right into the new year. That's when I would come back. But people are really going to start. People won't miss it. Like you said, first week, whatever, it'll be December 20th, and it'll be Christmas and stuff. But this is a long layoff, man. But it'll be good for other companies, right? Like BKFC and the PFLs and stuff. If they're smart, they would have cards. Like, just stack these cards up now.
Yeah, absolutely. And they usually do. And, you usually see like some one cards, over in China. So there's always fights to be watched. There's boxing cards as well. So, yeah, I mean, the combat sports world just never stops. But, it's kind of weird.
Normally, that's a good point, actually. That's a good point, Tom. Yeah. So I was going to say, the week after the 13th, you've got that Joshua Jake Paul stuff.
Right.
So that'll be that'll take. And you know what? Next to Ronda Rousey and Katie Taylor, this is almost a real fight. Like we were last week. I talked a lot about Anthony Joshua, and I said, listen, he opened up as a 7-1 favorite, and that was way too low. So people bet it up to minus 1,200. Katie Taylor, guys, is a 33-1 favorite. Minus 3,300. I've never. That's like one of the biggest odds you're ever going to see. Like Mike Tyson was a 42-1 favorite against Buster Douglas.
Right. That fight makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, Ronda doesn't have striking for the MMA world, and she's going to fight one of the, top 3 women's boxers of all time. Maybe some people put her in top 1. That's. I mean, what are we doing?
No, I don't. I don't know if it'll actually happen. I guess it is, but we'll see if saner minds prevail. And it's ridiculous. Like you said, it's ridiculous. Katie Taylor is a killer, guys. Like an absolute killer. Ronda can't box. She couldn't strike in MMA. And she's got concussion problems. Like, Ronda Rousey admitted, like, she got slapped in the face by Stephanie McMahon in wrestling. Now, you know, wrestling is wrestling. It's predetermined, but nevertheless, she still got slapped in the face pretty hard by Stephanie McMahon. And Ronda Rousey said after that she suffered concussion, she got a concussion. So if you got a concussion from Stephanie McMahon slapping you in the face, what the hell? What do you think is going to happen if Katie Taylor punches you in the head 72 times? Like, it's not going to end well. Like, this is, like, for her own safety. Like we said, if it doesn't happen, I want to bring it up. But let's get to some picks for this week, man. Man, these champions are just running through the table. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they got to fight the same guys over again. And, like, here we are with Davisheli, a minus 450 favorite against Jan, who we just outright dominated the first time that they fought.
Yeah. And, like, you know, looking, like, I kind of forgot how that fight went down. I kind of thought it looked more like the Aldo fight with Merab, where he held him up against the cage. He just controlled it. But going back and watching the tape on that fight, Merab, he ate his leg up with leg kicks. He beat him, you know, on the feet the whole time. He was ahead of him the whole time. And, you know, his wrestling is his wrestling. He got the wrestling going. Jan actually landed a takedown in that fight, but Merab, you know, popped right back up to his feet, no problem, reverse position, and just kept doing what he did. I mean, it was 50-45 on all three scorecards. You know, when I first saw the fight get rebooked, I thought, you know, yeah, Jan is the kind of guy that has the skill set that can beat Merab. You know, he's got decent grappling. He's a great boxer. Then you go back and watch the fight, and it's like, man, I just don't know what's he going to do. I mean, Merab seems like he's gotten better over the past couple of years since they fought. His striking's come a long way. You know, his grappling is never ending. I mean, I think he was 11 for 49 on takedowns against Jan in that fight. I mean, shoot 49 takedowns against a heavy bag, and you're going to be gassed out. But Merab, that's just what he does. And yeah, I mean, outside of Jan catching him with something big, I don't see it. I think Merab just rolls again.
You know, it's wild here, guys. So he's, you know, you could argue that he should be a bigger favorite. It's out of respect for Peter Yan, but he's a minus 450 favorite, guys. But the total is 4.5. I've never seen this. Minus 550, minus 550 to the over.
Yeah.
So they're almost expecting just an absolute carbon copy. Like, guys, fight to go the distance. Yes, is minus 500.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting into some like record numbers, like with that type of deal here. So yeah, the fight to go the distance is minus 500. If you want to think outside the box, like you said, fight not to go the distance is plus 330 right now. But yeah, it's some wild stuff with the totals, guys. I've never seen anything like this. Like over 2.5 rounds, minus 1,100. Over 3.5 rounds, minus 750. Over 4.5 rounds, minus 550. Fight to go the distance, minus 550. All right, let's get into Pantoja. What do you think about that fight?
That fight's actually interesting to me because Pantoja has looked great. You know, he's just running through everybody. He's got all the skills. He's a good striker. He's low volume, but he's a good striker. Obviously, his grappling is where, you know, his bread is buttered. He's a great grappler. He's got good submissions. But Joshua Van is a kid that, you know, he's coming in. I think he's 11 years younger. He's high volume. He's got very good takedown defense. You can take him down, but he'll pop right back up. So I'm interested in the Van line in this fight. I want to bet it, but I mean, betting against Pantoja, it's tough to do. I mean, the guy, he knows how to win these fights. He's been in 5-round wars. He's had some close fights for the title. But man, he's just got all the skills. And, you know, Van, what intrigues me about him is if he does get taken down and he avoids the submissions early, he's just going to keep pushing. When they're on the feet, he is going to be the higher volume guy. So I think this fight of the two championship fights is going to be the more competitive one. I can't really pull the trigger on Van at this point, but I do think he's live in this one. I think it's going to be a good fight.
He is a dangerous young contender. You're right. This is kind of one of those like trap type fights for Pantoja. Yeah. For the record, the two favorites with Merab and Pantoja, minus 141. More with Tom on the other side. The Combat Sports Report continues.
1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, I don't. That's it. I don't want you to get a read. I think.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May, the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had like recent success, maybe not so young, but not, they haven't had playoff success.
Right.
The Jags, it's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. The Chargers hanging on right now to that 5. And Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real.
Yeah.
They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave. Yep. He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be number 1 in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Combat Sports Report continues. I am Gabriel Morency. We're breaking it down with Tom Savino, nukethehouse.com. So, Tom, it's an interesting card, actually. A nice mix of sort of up-and-coming fighters, veterans, past champions. We got championship fights, past champions. Like I said, interesting dynamic. What catches your eye? What are your best bets for this card? We've taken a look at the main event and the co-main event, but looking at the card a little bit deeper right now, what catches your eye?
Yeah, I'm looking at some narratives here for my dog plays. The first dog I have is Edson Barboza, who he's moved back up to 155. He spent a couple years down at 145. He had mixed results down there, but he's taking on Jalen Turner, who just his last fight, he retired afterwards. He had no competitive heart. He just didn't seem into it. Coming off a loss to Moicano previous to that, he's had a bit of a tough run. And Barboza, he just fought a pretty tough fight against Jakar Close, where he actually outstruck Close. And Jakar Close, he's no joke. I mean, he's a solid 155er.
Neither is Murphy. Like, if you look at Barboza,
exactly.
people are like, look, he's lost 4 of his last 6 fights, but look, he fought Bryce Mitchell. He fought Murphy. He fought Close. Like you said, he beat Youssef. Like, he's fought the top guys in the division. You got to give him credit for a 39-year-old. And he'll be hungry to hang on, too, right? You get these guys that are sort of hungry fighters, and when they're into the late 30s, they don't want to let this career go.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Brazilian fighters. You never can question their heart. And he's a guy that, he'll probably, once his UFC career is over, you'll see him, he'll move over, he'll do some boxing fights, he'll do, he'll mix it up in the other organizations. He's just one of those guys. He's just doesn't. These guys don't want to go away. These Brazilian fighters, their fighting is in their blood. It's what they do.
They're fighters. That's who they are. Exactly. Vanderlei Silva should probably wrap it up, but that's another story.
Right. Eventually, they should stop at some point, but they don't. But Jalen
he's plus
Turner,
240. I like where you're going with this. Yeah.
Turner, he's got the skills. He's a massive 55er. He's tall. He's long. He's got big power. He is extremely dangerous. He's a guy that, I was a fan of. I still am. I'm a fan of the guy. He's a good fighter. I like him. But I just feel like if he doesn't get that early success, if he doesn't get that quick finish, I feel like there's going to be a point in this fight where he's questioning himself again. And I know for a fact Barbosa is going to keep moving forward. And if Barbosa gets his leg kicks going, which he's extremely good at, I think it could be a real problem for Jalen Turner. So at plus 240, you know, a guy who just retired, now he's coming back, you know, questionable what he's doing in the fight game against a guy like Barbosa. Yeah, give me Barbosa all day, every day. I mean, it's worth a shot every day of the week.
What other underdogs are you looking at?
So I got a couple other ones. I got Karine Silva. She's a plus 150. She's taking on Macy Barber. And again, like, you know, 3-4 years ago, I would say, you know, Macy Barber, she's an up-and-comer. She's a fighter the UFC was really pushing. They wanted to, you know, when she came into the UFC, she was talking about being the youngest champion and blah, blah. And that, you know, obviously that didn't work out. But she's had a lot of health issues. She pulled out of the Rose Namajunas fight. She pulled out of the Miranda Maverick fight. She was having seizures in the back. They were the main event for that card. On fight night, she couldn't make the walk. She's had some crazy infections. She's had knee injuries. She's had all kinds of injuries. And Karine Silva, she's extremely dangerous. She's good on the ground. She's well-rounded. You know, if they're both healthy in this fight, you know, if Macy Barber is her best self, you know, obviously she's a very good fighter, but I just can't trust that her health is going to hold up. And Karine Silva is just extremely dangerous in the grappling. And you know, at plus 150, I think she's live. And then again, Henry Cejudo, you got an old dog taking on a young up-and-coming prospect, Peyton Talbot, you know, he set the world on fire. Contender Series came in, he's knocking dudes out, looks like $1 million, then gets out grappled and fraud check, blah, blah. And then he comes back against Felipe Lima, looks good. But I mean, Henry Cejudo, this is his second fight in 2025. He hasn't fought 2 fights in a year since, I want to say, 2019. Cejudo's got great wrestling. I mean, if Peyton Talbot's wrestling has gotten better, sure. But against a guy like Henry Cejudo, I mean, Olympic gold medalist. This guy's the best wrestling he's going to see. And, you know, Cejudo, he's a champion. He's a former champion. He's got that championship grit. Second fight in a year. I think he's taking it serious. I like the shot. Plus 225 on Cejudo. Yeah, I'll take that against a very raw young talent all day, every day.
I think we got about a minute or two left here. What do you think about Yan? Yan is a minus 138 favorite against Guskov here, plus 110, coming off the loss against Ulberg. What do you think about that fight?
Yeah, I like Yan. He's another guy. He's, you know, if you look back at the record, you know, the last few fights have not gone well for him. But you look at the guy he's fought. You know, Ankalaev, 5-round fight. He had Ankalaev barely able to walk. Ankalaev was able to out-grapple him in the 4th and 5th round to get that win. And then Poatan, he took Poatan down, was winning that fight. You know, midway through the 2nd round, he started to gas out. That fight was at elevation. Poatan kind of put it on him a little bit, lost that one. And then kind of a kind of boring fight in his last fight against Ulberg. It was, you know, they were kind of tit for tat on the feet. Didn't get the job done. But again, you know, you look at the competition, Ulberg, you know, Poatan, Ankalaev. I think this is a big step down for Yan. And, you know, he's up there in age, so you can't be overly confident in him. But I do think he gets the job done. I just think the pedigree's there. I think overall he's going to win this fight.
So we got UFC 323 this week in Vegas, and then the following week we've got UFC Fight Night at the Apex. And we'll get into that next week with Tom. But I can't help but think, Tom, it's almost like the Super Bowl. Man, you know how much, like, people are going to be betting way more on that card next week, knowing it's the last card for a while. There's going to be people like, oh, yeah, it's Christmas. I'm going to end the UFC season with a bang here. It's going to be a lot of action on a lot of fights next week. Combat Sports Report, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. Roku continues. Bring it.
take a look at it. You say, all right, well, can they do this? But the one thing I know, every year I love the SEC championship game. Like this year, we're going to get a pretty good treat in the Big Ten because you have Indiana and Ohio State. But every single year, it's never like I don't have to watch that. Because the reason I bring that up is there's a game that's going to be on 8 o'clock that probably should just be played at midnight or 1 a.m. The ACC championship game. Like, things are not the same.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Splash Brothers? How about the Curry Brothers? Curry Brothers have been reunited, folks, as Seth Curry has signed for the rest of the year, according to Shams Charania. This is a good sign for a Warriors team for what they need off the bench. Coming off a career year where he shot 45.6% from three. He is a career 43.3% shooter from three-point range.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Chris Beard said, I can just play different players. And kudos to Chris Beard. NIL does not matter. Recruiting rankings don't matter. Who your AAU coaches doesn't matter. At the end of the day as a coach, your loyalty is to your school. Your loyalty is to all the kids in the program.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Awesome show tonight. Thanks to all of our guests for joining us. Lights Out Extreme Fighting, Corvin Allen, BKFC analyst, Chris Lytle, of course, UFC legend, Chris Lytle, Tom Savino with Tom's UFC picks this week. I agree with a lot of his picks, actually, this week. Merab's going to win again. So Merab is good parlay material, but he's minus 450. Van is dangerous. I think Pantoja's going to win, though. But Van is dangerous, and Van's the type of, he could be a champion down the road, but it might just be a little bit too soon for him right now. So, a favorite parlay with the two of them, with Merab and Pantoja, is minus 141, actually. Brandon Moreno is a plus 100 underdog. That fight's going to go the distance. That's good parlay material, too. There's a parlay right there. Merab to win. And the Brandon Moreno fight to go over the number is minus 340. That parlay is minus 173. So at the top end of the card, it's sort of parlay material, but I think at the lower end here, we've got an opportunity for some. I do like Blachowicz as well. I like Yan to win the fight. It is a minus 138 favorite. So last week we spoke about the Joshua fight, and it's ridiculous, but at least it's like watchable in the sense, because Jake Paul is very unlikable and people want to see Jake Paul get lit up, and Joshua is the guy to do it, right? Right. So Joshua is the guy to do it. But now we've got another sort of, and this is another Netflix invention here. So, because if you're wondering who the hell, who came up with this idea? Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor should be fighting Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? I'm not even exaggerating. You want a woman battle of the sexes, Katie Taylor versus Floyd Mayweather now. Floyd's nearly 50 years old, whatever. You know what I mean? He's older. She's 39. You know what I mean? You got to have a fun exhibition little fight with that. She's that good. She's that good. She would beat, a lot of UFC fighters. I'm not exaggerating. In a if she doesn't get taken down, she would beat the living crap out of people. She's literally one of the best female boxers ever. Ronda Rousey's a great mixed martial artist. She had a nice run at the UFC. She's judo. Judo isn't boxing. And Ronda Rousey got a concussion after Stephanie McMahon slapped her on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or wherever the hell it was. And now she's going to fight Katie Taylor. Like, I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but for the record, it's 33-1 right now. BetOnline has a number up, and Katie Taylor is a 33-1 favorite. So you got to bet $33 to win $1. Like, that's how extreme this is. Like one of the biggest odds ever type of deal. Cyborg Santos, who has always hated Ronda Rousey, has commented on this, and Cyborg says, I once saw Ronda Rousey shadow boxing. Her shadow won. 0 chance. Maybe a return to the cage to fight Gina Carano, but Ronda doesn't belong anywhere near a boxing ring. And she's not wrong. Like, I don't really understand it. Like, Ronda just had a second kid as well. Like, honestly, Ronda had to step away from the WWE because of concussion issues, and it was too much. And I'm not saying that, in a derogatory term, because I know a lot, there's a lot of MMA guys. Remember King Mo, Frank Trigg? I've had a lot of them. A lot of guys that have been, I've spoken to a lot of these guys that have wrestled and have fought in MMA, and they all say the same thing. They say wrestling is harder than MMA. They're it's way harder. They basically said, there's all these little things, the ropes, people stepping on your hands. Basically, that's what King Mo was telling me. He goes, man, in a fight, you get punched in the face, whatever, and the fight's over, you get submitted. It hurts for a second, and then the fight's over instantly, right? You're not really getting that hurt, actually, right? It happens so fast, and my arm, okay, I tapped out, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple of guys that get into brawls in the UFC, but for the most part, guys, people are getting through this pretty much unscathed. Wrestling, they're nut jobs. They want you to do it 300 times a year, every day, and you got to show up, and you got to get slammed and this and that. So I'm not calling Ronda Rousey out for afraid she got hurt wrestling, but if you got a concussion from getting slapped from Stephanie McMahon, what the hell do you think Katie Taylor punching you in the head repeatedly is going to do to you? I don't know why her husband, what is her husband there? Was it Travis Brown? I don't know why the hell he would allow this. I don't know, for the money. Money's no good if you got to eat your dinner through a straw for the rest of your life. Right? So thanks to all of our guests tonight on the program. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.
Take a look at it and say, all right, well, can they do this? But the one thing I know, every year I love the SEC championship game. This year we're going to get a pretty good treat in the Big Ten because you have Indiana and Ohio State. But every single year, it's never I don't have to watch that. Because the reason I bring that up is there's a game that's going to be on 8 o'clock that probably should just be played at midnight or 1 a.m. The ACC championship game. Things are not the same.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Splash Brothers? How about the Curry Brothers? Curry Brothers have been reunited, folks, as Seth Curry has signed for the rest of the year, according to Shams Charania. This is a good sign for a Warriors team for what they need off the bench. Coming off a career year where he shot 45.6% from three. He is a career 43.3% shooter from three-point range.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Chris Beard said, I can just play different players. And kudos to Chris Beard. NIL does not matter. Recruiting rankings don't matter. Who your AAU coaches doesn't matter. At the end of the day as a coach, your loyalty is to your school. Your loyalty is to all the kids in the program.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.